Today's episode is brought to you by Andy Bovender and the Bovender team out of the Carolinas. They actually work 5 different cities in that area. So if you have a client who's been thinking about making a move in that area, they are the team to call. Today, I sit down with Courtney Smith Wiesmore, who is a top performing coach at Compass. And we talk about the 3 things most agents should stop doing in their business and the 3 things they need to be doing. So before we get started, I wanted to share a little bit more about our past guest inner circle group, where we meet 2 times a month and we talk shop. We talk about best practices and we do or offer peer coaching, but the best byproduct are the referrals that happen from within it. If you're interested in joining the wait list, follow the link in the description below. And as always, I'm your host and San Francisco referral partner, Shawn Kunkler. Courtney, part 2, welcome back.
I'm so glad to be here, Shawn. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. I really appreciate you carving out the time. I know you're incredibly busy. I want to just hit the ground running because we only have limited time, and I feel like you just are a wealth of knowledge. And so to really quickly frame it for listeners is you basically work with the top 1% of the top 1%. So you have to sell north of $100 million annually to even sit down with you. And so first question out of the gate, what are the best of the best of the best? What 3 things are they just not doing to muck up their business?
Love it. But first of all, I will also say that, in my role and what I do every day, I am privileged to get to touch so many people. And the work that I do with this particular niche is so insightful. And I hope that I'm able to imbue the work that I do with everyone with the learnings from across the organization, across the nation. So, but it's a great question, and I'll jump right in. A couple of things that top producers are not doing. They're not spending frivolously. They're looking at every penny and, modulating based on market conditions and their strategy. And they are spending money where it counts, right? Which means, of course, they have to measure it. They're not skipping steps. So even if it's their very best friend listing their home for sale, they are going through their process. They're not skipping it just because they have such a great relationship with that client already. They are going through every single part of their process so that they're assured of delivering that same exceptional level of experience that they require for every client with their very best.
Yeah.
So, and third, they're not wasting energy or time. I think, and I'm guilty of this too, we all are. Sometimes we put too much energy into things that actually don't matter. And when you're closing 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 transactions a year, especially at these price points that we have the good fortune of representing in these incredible metropolitan markets, you can't let anything really get under your skin. You've got to be solutions oriented and stay calm under pressure at all times. So the little stuff, the misbehavior of an agent on the other side of a deal, or, when something in your day doesn't go according to plan, which is like every minute of every day.
Pretty much.
They're not getting upset. Just letting it go, remaining unfazed and carrying on.
Have you been completely neglecting your newsletter, social media, or any of your outbound marketing? If so, I have a solution for you. With little to no commitment, a virtual assistant can jump in and help you in those areas you just don't have the time for. For more information about hiring a virtual assistant, go ahead and follow the link in the description below. Those are so good. There's so much to unpack with each of those. Um, let's go back to the first one, and I summarized it as, and you can modify it if you'd like, but spending where it counts. And
Mm.
where does it count? I know you mentioned being able to measure it, but what are some of the things that in your eyes count?
Well, it is entirely dependent on the business. So what counts for you in your business, Shawn, may not count for me in my business. But if you're measuring your source of business and where energy and attention and dollars actually yield the results that you're looking for which you were looking, I'll correct my own grammar there. And then you're reinvesting, doubling down on those areas, then you're getting to your goals more strategically, more expeditiously, without being wasteful. Of course, that demands that you have a plan and you know where you're going. But usually, if you know where you're going, or you know where you want to go, and you are diligent about uncovering the stats and the facts and tracking, the business will tell you what it needs in order to get you there.
It's so true. I mean, the bigger the goal, the more specific it is, the more you have to measure it. And you can't just set it and forget it. You have to regularly go back to it with your team, with your ops person, whoever it is, and measure these things. So often from having these conversations, I call it the ping pong effect, is they do that thing that works. And then they get this is usually the agent who doesn't have support. They do that thing that works. They get super busy and then they stop doing that thing. And so they're spending in the right spot and then they stop and then they go back to it and then they stop and it's, they ping pong.
Well, and consistency is everything, right? I mean, we were talking about this before we pressed record. It's like consistency is everything in every aspect of our lives.
It's so true.
If you want to yield results, right? And sometimes results is not what you're after. It's not what's required. What's required is just to be. And like, that's good. And that's the right state. But if you're trying to accomplish something specific, you've got to be specific about it. And you've got to measure it in order for it to be actionable and therefore create the results.
Hey, real estate pros, be honest. You know you should be using video, but maybe you feel awkward, don't have the time, or just aren't seeing the results. This is where Kim Rittberg's Video Bootcamp comes in. This live coaching program helps agents create high quality videos quickly and confidently, resulting in leads and clients. Her students have seen results. One landed 3 new clients directly from social media, and others brought in millions of dollars in closed sales. Spots are limited, and to apply now, follow the link in the description below. It's funny. I would almost challenge that because I think even if you just want to be, that too, you should show up consistently for. So there is across the board, there is there's just a natural consistency that
required
it's almost like this organic thing that comes of it.
I like that push said from clearly someone who's more of a Zen master than myself. I am constantly trying to get myself back to a place of meditation and thoughtfulness and reflection and all of that, getting better at it as I get older, of course, but I need more consistency there myself and desirous of more consistency there myself.
Yeah. That's the hard part is carving out that space for yourself, giving yourself the permission to be like, okay, I can decompress. Total side note, a really good friend of mine I was really stressed out the other day and he's like, have you done box breathing, which is a breathing technique that the military teaches? And I was like, it just doesn't work for me. But then he's like, have you done the peripheral vision one? And I was like, oh, say more. What is it? And you basically just gaze at something, but then focus exclusively on your peripheral vision and push it as wide as you possibly can. And the weird thing for me is when I do that for a few seconds, I immediately take a breath and I feel my whole nervous system come down. And I'm like, oh.
Well, isn't that like a physical representation of having perspective too? Right? Like, doesn't perspective, isn't that always the thing that allows us to find our gratitude and remember that, you know, whatever moment of chaos or trauma or pain we're feeling that very second is holistically quite small because we like pull out. So it's like just adjusting the aperture visually does that very same thing for your nervous system that, you know, taking a look around you at the world and recognizing how much there is to be grateful for in your own life.
So true. And that parlays back to your point of number 3, where, you know, when you have all these problems happening is how do you find your center point? How do you get back into balance? I always remind myself, if I can't control myself, there's no way I'm going to be able to control a situation when it's flying out of control. And so it's like, take a beat and try to pull yourself back, because you cannot get on the phone frantic with a client. They're going to get frantic. The whole deal is going to go frantic, and then you're done.
Well, your vibration is what people match, right? Yeah. They like rise to meet you wherever you are, high or low. You know, I don't, no judgment about where we are in that moment, but when we're in these intimate moments, which the job that we do is so intimate with our clients, right? Yeah. We're like in every aspect of their lives, and something that means so very much to them. They're attuned to us and looking to us for guidance as to how they should feel in that moment. And so they are matching our vibration.
It's for better and for worse. It's funny. We recently got a puppy who's 3 months old.
Oh goodness, you are gluttons for punishment.
Oh my goodness, you have no idea. I have the battle wounds on my hands to show for it. But studying all these trainers, I've realized really quick, this is my first dog, is they mirror you. They will copy your energy. If you're calm, they're calm. If you're frantic, they're frantic. And it has been an amazing, I feel like I've learned more from this puppy about my business in a very short period than I have in years.
Oh, this is for a book, Shawn.
You know what's funny? It's funny you mentioned that. I've been keeping notes on all these crazy, amazing conversations, and I'm like, I don't know the shape of it yet, but this is going into some sort of book.
No doubt.
Because I have this in the past 2 years, I get to sit down with people like you and pick your brain and learn what you know. And it's been this like master class, this doctorate of real estate. It's been so incredible.
Well, I want to turn the question back to you then, Shawn. What are the top 3 characteristics that you see common among the people that you interview?
Oh, the top 3 common. I think and this is, I'm just speaking from the hip, but that's not even the right quote, shooting from the hip, but
you're my friends here, Shawn. This is your club. Nobody can kick you out.
Touche. I love it. You know, I would say very similar to what you shared is they have a very clear picture in their mind of what they're creating. And you know, within that, they are very clear in sharing that with the people around them to help facilitate it. And whether that's systems and process, whether that's vision, they're really clear. And the person who comes to mind immediately is Andy Bovender, who has a 37-person team. There's no way that they would be all moving in the same direction if he didn't have a clear direction, period.
I would say the same thing is true of another one of your recent guests, Erin Kruger.
Oh, heavy hitter.
I mean, she is crystal clear with everybody around her, where she is in that moment and where she's headed. and how they're all going to get there together. But clarity is kindness. Who says that? I don't know who says that. Everyone should say that. Clarity is kindness, even when the clarity isn't an exact match to what you were hoping to hear or know, right?
Yeah.
I think understanding and having that clarity is a gift. All right, clarity, number 1.
Clarity.
What's number 2, Shawn?
Within that I always think of racehorses. Racehorses have blinders, and it's so they don't get distracted with the horse on the left or the horse on the right. And so within having the clarity, they're not easily distracted. Like they know what works, they do what works, and it's not, they do not chase shiny objects. And so I think it's like part of the same, but there is a distinction. Like they have a clear vision and they're not distracted. And so I would maybe say discipline for that piece or that category.
It definitely requires discipline to maintain that state, for sure.
I want to say systems and processes, but I just feel like that's like, it's beaten to death. We all know it. But it is I'll use Andy again, or Aaron, who again, they have multiple people on their team. If their mom was going through a transaction, it's going to be the identical experience as the stranger who just pinged them via email and they've never met. It is the exact same experience. I mean, exact to the letter. It's everything's templates and systems and process and checklists. No balls are ever getting dropped. And, I always liken it to, it's like if you have a Ferrari that can go 200 miles an hour, doing 50 miles an hour is cake. And so their systems are overbuilt to go incredibly fast. And the repeatability is precision. And so I would say those are the three pieces. And it kind of, they all fit together, because if you don't have a vision, the team doesn't know precision is important. And so they don't process themselves. They don't have organization and checklists and accountability. And if you are getting distracted all the time, it goes back to a puppy. Your team gets distracted all the time.
Here's the book. What I learned from my puppy.
It's so true.
But they also say that that your business will rise or fall to the level of your operations, and operations aren't particularly sexy. So I think those of us who like to live in a little bit more of a big picture, dream big state are reticent to dive into the operations, because it's not, there's no instant gratification from it, right?
It's true.
Like it doesn't give us any of that joy that a bright shiny does. I'm sure neuroscientists would tell us exactly why it like illuminates the wrong part of the brain to give us the right hormones or whatever. But it is exactly the thing that this like strong operational sense is exactly the thing that allows you to be creative, to be artistic, to work within the moment and feel like connected in the moment, because you're not also trying to like manage the crazy, trying to gather all of the pieces and make sense of it in that moment. You're actually able to be present and in it.
That part, it took me a while to figure out. And I had a coach for a while, is I felt initially, well, if I have this checklist, I'm confined and I don't have my creative ability to do a sale. And then that was dumb on me. It didn't click. But once I realized, it's like having a clean house. It's like once it's clean, then you can put up art and you can really showcase it, because the room is clean, and then you can be creative with the space. But if you have to clean it first, or try to remember where you are in the process and then remind somebody else and babysit the deal, your bandwidth is all getting consumed with just trying to remember stuff, and the creativity goes out the window. That was a
Yep.
hard, I would say that was probably the hardest lesson for me to internalize.
Well, it's a good one, and I'm glad you're there because I bet you're enjoying your life a whole lot more.
Yeah.
It'll set you free, Shawn. The systems
Totally.
will set you free. I'm a believer.
I realized the system was working when I wasn't waking up at 3 a.m, emailing myself things that I need to remember. That's the moment I was like, holy shit, this works. This is good.
Corner. Look at this freedom.
It's so free. And this podcast, I mean, I'm booked 3 months out. I have probably 6 episodes simultaneously being edited and worked on and cleaned up and posted and published. Without a system, no one would know where anything is. Like, it's.
Well, I love the system, by the way. I commend you as a guest. It's a delightful experience to be a guest when you know that when you go to the calendar invitation that the right link is going to be there, that instructions are there, that notifications are delivered with ample advance notice, that you're having like all of these beats that allow me to set my mind at ease as a guest, knowing full well that you've got your part handled and all I have to do is show up. It's a gift that you give. Thank you for that.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate the feedback. It's just like working with a client. I found that I have always found, and it's funny, I just mentioned it to Nancy yesterday, who's on my team, is if clients are coming to you with a question, we didn't do a good job of educating them in advance. And a question is really a concern. And so we need to do a better job of checking in if we're in a transaction every Monday and Thursday and let them know what we just did in the past cycle and what we're going to do and basically what's happening. And if we can mitigate questions, everybody's calm. And it saves my email. It saves my inbox.
I don't know if you've had Allison Goodhart on from the Goodhart Group in DC, Maryland, and Virginia.
I have not.
But, well, now you've got another guest to add to your list.
Love it.
She does something brilliant. Anytime a client across her team asks the same question more than once, 2 times, she writes a blog post about it.
Oh.
So it doesn't matter whether the question is, what should I be bringing to my inspection? Or tell me the best Italian restaurant in such and such town. She writes a blog post because if 2 people ask the question, there are so many more who have it.
True.
And so this is actually an amazing lead generation strategy for her team, but it's also an inbox saver, a confidence booster for clients, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All the things you just mentioned.
It's so good. And it's basically a template. It's already written for you.
Exactly.
Like you can just anybody can then easily go back and grab it, or clients can just cruise around the website.
And it's an SEO driver for her,
100%.
a lead driver for her. I mean, it's like all the things you want. And guess what it is? It's a process. It's a system. And it's a very clear, non-negotiable one about which everyone is aware in her organization. I love that.
She next level
the nexus of everything that we have just been talking about. Good job, Allison.
I love it. I actually wrote her name down, so I'm going to be reaching out. And
she and her mom, Sue, have run a gangbusters business in the DMV.
I love it.
They're awesome.
It's interesting. Similar name too. I worked years ago with a Karen Goodwin who shared that we were directors of membership at a high-end athletic club. And she shared with me, I was like, how do you, like, she was always she had systems and I didn't realize it, but she would always like crush it month over month, exceeding everybody's sales numbers all the time. And I asked her, I was like, what are you doing? And she said, well, if I have to do the same thing twice, I create a template for it. And that was like a game changer for me.
There you go.
But she Allison next leveled it. It was like, not only did I create a template, it's a blog. And it's like,
It's a blog post. But look, like there are opportunities for this hack to exist everywhere in our businesses and many places in our lives too.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm queen of the Apple notes, right? It's like if I've had to write it more than once, it's gonna be an Apple note.
Yeah. And
It's
that
template.
actually, you know, it kind of goes back to allocating time and thinking about these things and giving yourself the grace to learn it and figure out and just observe. I think that's a often overlooked component too, is just taking a moment to observe your business or observe what's happening and look for these opportunities to either leverage that thing you're already doing. I mean, not for nothing, but agents always trip up on creating social media videos. Well, if you just created a template and you created a blog, just record yourself talking about it, and now you have a video. It's like you can leverage this thing to the nth degree. So yeah, I think it's, you know, I would say if I can add a fourth thing to it is the observation of the business, of what is working, what isn't working, where are the challenges, what are solutions, and
yeah. Oh, I'll build on that one for you and say,
please,
egoless observation. Because a lot of time we have to look, right? And we have to identify that we created the problem.
Yeah.
And we have to be comfortable enough with our own selves to be okay being imperfect.
Yeah. That's a tricky one. I mean, especially in our roles.
Well, why would you say in this role more than any other role?
Ooh, good challenging question. I think the reason I said that is because in our front-facing world of being with clients, we have to, you know, to command that presence of having the confidence, of having the knowledge and the answers. It's hard to then separate yourself with your team and say, I don't know this thing. And so I think it's because we're propped up in one position of always having that answer. It's reinforced, that behavior gets reinforced, just like a puppy. And
here
then
we are.
And
chapter 2.
Chapter 2. It's behavioral conditioning. It's so true. But yeah, I mean, that's where I would say, and then it's then having the right team around you where you can be vulnerable and say, like, look, I don't know this. One of you is stronger in this area. Let's hear it. Like, let's be honest here.
Well, as leaders, I think we are oftentimes trying to cultivate an environment of psychological safety for others.
Yeah.
And then we fail to recognize that we too also need an environment of psychological safety. And we fail to demand it. Right?
Yeah.
So, you know, if we're roaming around throughout our day, whether with just, you know, with our clients, being the expert with our clients, or whether we are also the expert with our teams and our spheres and we fail to allow others to see our imperfections, we are actually perpetuating a myth that perfection is required. And that safety to be you is not important to us. And in fact, quite the opposite is true, right? And then we spend all this time worried about public perception or perception by others and reflection of who we are out in the world. And I don't know, I'm imperfect. I'm a human. I also love myself. I love who I am, and I feel really comfortable with who I am, imperfections and all. And don't we all deserve that?
It's true. Great. You make a phenomenal point. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you make a great point, and it's totally valid. And you're right. We live in the world we create. And so if you try to create it perfect, then it's hard to be anything but. Good therapy session. That's why you're an amazing coach.
Well, like you, I get the opportunity to talk to a lot of really smart, really interesting, really wonderful, really cool, creative, hardworking people every day.
Yeah.
So I have the benefit of those learnings as well, just like you.
And that's what I love about this podcast, which sounds very similar to what your experience is. But I've come to really realize very early is there's no right way to the top of the mountain. You can hike it, you can run it, you can climb it, you can take a helicopter. Like there's no wrong way. And so there's no wrong personality, there's no wrong way of thinking, we're all different sizes, shape, backgrounds, views, opinions. Like we're all completely different, flaws and all. And I think what the freeing part is, literally anybody can get to this thing.
You could also choose not to go to the top and walk around and have the very same view from taking a lovely, easy, chill stroll around. Like not everything has to be a struggle. Not everything has to be difficult. Yeah.
It's funny. I know I realize that I do this because I clearly I have that overachiever gene. So these conversations tend to be overachiever driven because that's my need to be curious in that category so I can improve myself. But I also realize that identifying who you are within that is beautiful. Is not everybody's designed to lead the team. Some people just want to be on the team. Some people want to be in a support role. That's amazing. Like figure out that thing for yourself and be the best version of you doing that thing. If that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
Because
that's exactly it.
I do think there's a little bit of pressure in the industry in general. It's like once you hit these certain metrics, then you should bring on this person and then you should do this thing. And some people just aren't.
But why?
I don't
should?
know.
When we're using the word should, we're already wrong. Like we're already off course.
It's
right?
true.
But the only thing that matters is what your needs require.
Yeah.
And what your goals require and what your desires require. And those of your, family and loved ones and the people around whom you are building your life, right? But comparison is the thief of joy. We know this already.
Yeah.
We do a lot of it. Our culture is pretty centered around it. And I don't know, maybe that's the blessing of our 40s, Shawn. Don't care so much anymore, do we?
you definitely you have a lot less cares. There's another more colorful word I would use, but there's a lot less cares that you have to give in a day. And it's like once they're used up, they're used up. And
picking up what you're putting down, Shawn. Come on to you.
I'm trying not to be too colorful this fine morning using my
watch the swears,
my sailor language. I'm going to volley this to you. So if you can summarize, I don't want to just say the top performers, but people who have a healthy grasp on their business and they're moving in the right direction, whether that's the sole producer or the person who has the partnership or whatever category they are. What would you say the three things, like the three patterns you see emerge within all groups of agents?
Definitely an orientation towards personal development. Like a growth mindset, not for purposes of getting somewhere else, but as you were saying earlier, for being the best version of themselves that they can be. And sometimes that manifests as more different, change, etc. But a lot of times that manifests as doing things the exact same way and just executing at a higher level.
Yeah.
Or showing up in a similar way, but just being more present. So that orientation towards self-improvement, which of course, as we already sort of touched on, like requires a willingness to look in the mirror and an inherent acceptance of what you see in order to, without ego, make improvements upon that in the areas of interest. So that's a big one for sure. And it's common amongst, I think actually, people who achieve great things, whatever great looks like to them, great relationships with their children. They want to just be better parents every day. So they're looking at it. I had one on a 6 a.m.ers call the other morning. Just by virtue that he was asking the question of how to be the best possible parent he can be as a sole practitioner in real estate with young children, he's already winning because he's already proving that he cares and loves his children and his relationship with his children enough to be self-reflective. Winning. That's it.
That's such a good point. Just surfacing that question is powerful unto itself.
Second, I would say they know their customer. They understand who they serve and who they don't serve. Yeah. So they've identified their niche, whatever that niche is in the world. And whether that's, at the scale we've been talking about, 500 units, 500, really expensive homes per year, or 5. They know their target audience because that is a good match for who they are.
Yeah.
So they know themselves and they know their customer as a result. And they've spent time thinking about it and really getting clear on who their ideal customer is and where they shop and what they do and what they read and who they know and what they require in terms of service level. So they know their ideal customer. And then because they know their ideal customer, when they are doing this third thing, the data management, the seeking insights, the rigor around management of their processes, including their P&L, okay? Then they can apply this methodology of knowing their customer, enrich it with the insights that they're able to glean from this rigorous management of their systems, and therefore have a better grasp on their business, have a better grasp on their life, are actually meaningfully moving towards their goals.
That's so good.
You know what? I'm going to take it back, Shawn. I said earlier that systems aren't sexy, but they are. They are. And I'm going to just keep saying it until everybody believes me. Systems are sexy.
They are. They actually, they free you. They just free you in a different way. Like this podcast.
Why I have a mudroom. It's a system, right?
Yeah.
The boots go here, the backpacks go there, so that no one's running around the house in the morning going, "Where's the backpack? Where's your homework? Where's the lunchbox? Where are your shoes?" It's where it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
It makes the morning much more stress-free. I'm not saying it's stress-free, but less stressful for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it gives, but again, it gives, you have a vision, and then it gives the kids, the team members, the same vision. Like,
yeah, exactly.
And
gives everybody the same vision. Gives me the same vision.
Yeah. And then they could be free of like, oh, I get to be creative with what I'm wearing today and not worrying about where's my bag, where's my homework, where's my book.
And it doesn't have to be complicated or difficult either, right? Like I think I think when people who are less inclined towards operations, like I love ops, so I'm happy to get into the weeds on these things. But when people are sort of less inclined towards operations and systems, hear the word systems and processes, they're like, oh my God, it's so overwhelming. It's too much. But it doesn't actually have to be hard. It's like 4 or 5 basic action plans, okay, that you just follow.
Yeah.
And they're everything that's in your head on how you treat your clients and how you deliver exceptional results written down.
Yeah.
It's, having a mission or a culture, something that defines your brand and who you are, that is clear and written down and articulated in some visual fashion as well. So that, everything in the marketing department becomes infinitely easier because you know who you are and what you stand for and how you translate that visually and through language to your ideal customer. It's knowing your P&L. Okay, P&L, people get scared when I say P&L. It's just how much you spent and how much you earned broken down by category. And it doesn't even have to be crazy rigorous. But if you have a sense of how much you're spending on what kind of activities, then you know what works and what doesn't. And you can very easily spot issues. Yeah. And you can spot them well in advance of them overtaking your business or your life.
I completely agree. It's before I got into this business, my father had he had a couple businesses, and the last one he had for 45 years. And I asked him, hey, if you were to start over, like not that you would at 70, but if you were inclined to differently, who would you hire first and why? And he said, hire a really good accountant and hire a really good attorney. And he's like, the accountant is just keep you super organized, make sure everything's accounted for and you know how much money you got and where it's going. And then hire a lawyer. He was in a different business, but to organize, like put it all together for you to create like what's going to make the most sense, an LLC, an S corp.
Yeah, right. Like the right business structure for where you're going.
Which backs into your plan. Have a plan. You got to have a plan.
You got to have a plan. Listen, we have a trust for a reason, right? Yeah. When we have assets of any kind, we have a trust for a reason. We have a will for a reason. We have a, plan for what happens to us at the end of our lives for a reason. Why wouldn't we do it during our lives too?
I completely agree. The book that actually really helped me change the way that I was looking at money and finance was Profit First. Really, really good. It's written in a very simple way, and it helps understand like, okay, if I have these accounts, where's the money going? I get it. It's a little bit different than where you're spending it, but the two pieces fit together, and it's a really good book. It's interesting now that it's funny. I'm thinking about my top 3. I would actually change out one of my 3 now that I'm thinking about it.
Okay. What's the swap?
I don't know. Maybe I can add one. I'm going to do top 4.
This is going to be a top 10 list by the time we're going to have 6 chapters of your book written. Everything you've learned from your dog. All right.
That's incredible. But I would say, it's having somebody you're accountable for. And I always liken it to pick any sport, period, any sport across the board. That athlete always has a coach, always, whether they're winning or whether they're losing. And I think within that, it's mindset. It's you lost the game. You're not a loser. It's you just had a lesser day than the other team. Now you know what to work on. Go fix it. But you have somebody who's on your side who's saying, hey, you really do well in this thing. You should go do more of that thing. Or this thing's probably not working the best for you. You should reevaluate that thing. So I would actually say having either peer coaching or a professional coach, but having a space where you're being challenged to be that best version of yourself is what I would swap one of mine out for.
I love it. Well, I'm a big fan of coaching.
Clearly.
So, and I do it like this is my whole life, right? Even in my own life, I solicit advisors for absolutely everything. when I go to buy a property in a town where I don't work or haven't worked, I'm hiring a real estate agent.
Same.
A great one. I've got a wealth manager and an amazing accountant that I've been working with for, probably 15 years, and a bookkeeper and a business law attorney and a Pilates instructor and an executive coach. Like, bring me all the advisory services. This is where I can be my best. And you're exactly right, because they see things that we don't see, because we're clouded in our own day and our own thoughts, with these ideas ping-ponging around in the echo chamber, and they give us the valuable perspective of their expertise, exercised over dozens or hundreds or thousands of people and experiences, to synthesize it down so quickly and apply it to us and our situation, such that we don't have to make 27 mistakes. We can make one or two and then move along.
And
so cool.
And I think we're in a, collectively, sure, there's a lot of distraction, but I think we're in such an amazing period of time, because 50 years ago, there's zero opportunity for somebody to have listened to you give advice on this podcast. We can sit down with mentors and coaches and the top of the top of the top through a book,
in our ears,
or through a podcast, or through a video.
Yep.
That's what the whole spirit of this podcast is you don't have to buy coaching. You can, I always call it net time, no extra time, or car university. You're driving around, just
car university is so good.
Play something, listen to an audiobook, or listen to a good podcast, or and sometimes for me, it's not about, Socrates says, learning is remembering, or remembering is learning. And it's so often we know these things, we just forget about them. And sometimes you just hear oh yeah, I should, it, and you just forgot. I really do need to spend, more frequently in my P&L. I really need
once a month is all we ask.
Which is not a heavy lift. Once a month.
No, once a month, 30 minutes with your accountant or bookkeeper. That's it.
That's
seriously. It's so easy. Oh, and by the way, then tax time is a breeze. So April 15th never stresses me out, ever.
Me neither. I do an extension and I'm good to go. I actually just finished all my when this is recording, it's March, but I just finished all my stuff, because I do everything on extension, but that's through the advisement of I have a bookkeeper and I have an accountant, and they advise me, they tell me this is the best strategy for you. Which, by the way, I don't know if this is 100% true, but I've heard that the number one audited industry in the US are real estate agents.
Oh, well, I have been audited. I'll tell you, they gave me money back.
For real?
For real.
Because you got systems. Because you're
I was oh, you picked the wrong person.
You're I got that receipt. And actually, that was.
I keep track of everything, and it's all perfectly dialed. Yeah.
They did pick the wrong person. But
it doesn't surprise me.
And that's the beauty of having a system, having your things organized, and just, to go back or to belabor the point.
Oh my God, everybody's rolling their eyes right now. They're seriously, Shawn and Courtney, stop talking about systems. We're no, you're going to love them if it's the last thing we do.
It's, it's really funny. Total side conversation, or side thought. My good friend Clint, who's a professional bodybuilder, he's in his 50s, super strong dude, goes to the gym, and everybody wants to know, hey, what's your max bench? What's your max this? What's your max that? That's the question. It's in our industry, it's how many units have you sold? What's your $1 million? And he's always I don't know. I my joints don't do that. So I do lower weight and higher volume. That's not an analytic for me. And then they're well, how'd you get there? And he's 3 things, but I'll tell you what those 3 are, and you're not going to want to do them. And it parlays back into those same lessons here. He's like,
Mhm.
I consistently go to the gym, I
Mhm.
consistently rest, and I consistently monitor my nutrition. And that's all I
Mhm.
do.
Mhm.
That's all it is. We're
Mhm.
always looking for like this magic bullet. This
Oh, the silver bullet does not exist. You know what the silver bullet is? Showing up and doing the work every day. That's it.
consistency.
Over time, consistency,
That's it.
results are exist because we do it over and over and over again. Get up, make your bed, do the work, rinse, repeat.
You know, it's funny. That's a system.
Sure is. Oh my god.
I mean, it's
Systems
funny.
are sexy, people. You heard it here first, second, third, fourth, and hopefully last.
Courtney, this was so fun, and I always genuinely appreciate sitting down with you and catching up and picking your brain. So thank you, thanks for doing this. I'm going to be at the retreat. I'm assuming you will be, so I'll have to
Heck yeah.
come
Bells
find you
on.
and say hi.
Good. I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait to see everybody at retreat.
I know. I think it's gonna be in Denver this year, so it should be really fun.
They're always good. I walk
They are.
away and you know, obviously from what I do now, it's a very different experience than when I attended as an agent for many years. I think this is going to be my 9th or 10th retreat.
Wow.
So it's a different experience. I usually go into retreat quite tired because myself and my colleagues, we've all been working really hard to deliver the exceptional experience that we know you all wish for and desire. But I still get so much out of it attending. I learn so much. I get totally filled up. I get on an airplane to go home, and all I can do is fall asleep in my seat, but I am absolutely brimming over with love and appreciation for the experiences that I had. I feel so full and enriched and content after those 3 days. It's just a dream.
Oh, that's so cool. I've been to 4, and it's interesting because they're always good, but they get better each year. And it's always, it goes back to that. There's constant, never-ending improvement, which I appreciate. But this year, I feel like it's going to be different, and I'm excited for it because I've had all these amazing conversations with people I haven't met in person. And so
you get to meet everybody.
I'm so looking forward to that, and just like seeing people
so
and giving them
nice.
hugs and being like, oh my God, like it's amazing to actually get to hang out with you and see people face to face.
Aren't we lucky that we get to be in such a beautiful community?
It's a really cool community. It's, the collaborating without ego is just, it's a very cool thing.
Well, for everybody who's tuned in to listen to this today, whatever day you chose to tune in, you're part of the community too. Thanks for being here, being part of it.
Wow, you're hired. That was the best wrap up I could have asked for. Good to see you, Shawn. Good to see you. That's a wrap.
Cheers.